The following program was produced by Cinema Milkshake.
What would you like to do now?
Go to the movies.
Now you're talking. I could be up for that.
So what have you got?
The stuff that dreams are made of.
What did you think?
It's the greatest movie I've ever seen in my life.
You're going to love this.
No, sir. I didn't like it.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
This whole thing's a bloody farce.
Good movie.
It won the Academy Award
Oh, for what?
for best movie ever made.
Oh, it's keen. It's pure keen. No, it's greater than keen. It's Cougat.
Why are you torturing me like this?
You're gonna love this, trust me.
I've lost all critical perspective.
Why?
Did you like that?
Are you kidding?
Let's all go to the movie.
Woo-hoo!
That's what I'm talking about. What do we got?
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of your all-time favorite podcast, Kill Me or Thrill Me. I am your host, Ryan Liskey, and I am so excited because I have with me today a returning guest. In fact, she was the guest on my very second episode, and she has brought another piece of classic Hollywood. Diana Lamphiere, welcome back to the show. You've been busy since we last talked, and all the way to the other side of the world.
Yep.
Right?
All the way to the other side of the world and back, as I do every spring now. If people listen to the first time, they already know this, but if they didn't, a quick reminder that I am an attorney and a law professor, and one of the things I do as a law professor is I go to China in May to teach my business law course in English to Chinese students. So it's like a 3-week intensive. I basically spend a month in Guiyang, Guizhou, China, pretty much every or late spring. So that's
Okay.
yeah, that's where I was, and I could talk about that for hours. I usually put up blogs about it, and I will this time. I just still haven't gotten to it yet. So
Well, understandable.
yep.
No, I'm jealous. Were there now? I've heard rumors, but were there a lot of holes in the ground there that from all the little kids in America that dug their way to China back in the 80s?
I was like, what even are you talking about? No, they must have melted in the heart of the earth because no. The amazing thing about this part of China that I go to is since it doesn't snow there are no potholes in the roads. They are just beautiful, smooth asphalt everywhere. So that is very weird for someone from Michigan to see. Because part of springtime in Michigan is discovering the new potholes that appeared over the winter here. So that's very different there. At least in that part of China.
Yeah, many cars that I have owned throughout the years have fallen prey to new potholes.
Correct.
In Michigan.
Yep. Not a thing.
But yeah, I'm totally jealous.
Yeah, not a thing there. And also most of the cars are electric cars. They have many electric cars. And all sorts of cool ass colors like, iridescent purple and, some of them are stickered all over with Hello Kitty and, like when I say sticker, I'm not talking about bumper stickers. I'm talking about it like a sleeve for the whole car kind of thing. Like the personalization there for that kind of stuff is wild.
Okay.
Yeah. Different.
Well, I want to thank you first off, not only for coming back to the show after your long jaunt around the world, but you also introduced yourself properly in a way I did not. I should explain. I am sitting in like 90-degree temperature. Anybody who's listened to any of my other podcasts knows that I don't have air conditioning in my room, and it's hellish. So I'm a little loopy and not firing on all cylinders, but my attorney is here to pick up the pieces and correct my my failings. So thank you for doing that. But I know you're working on something as an attorney, something quite important that you spoke of on the last show, and unfortunately, it's still an issue. So, do you want to talk about that a little bit now?
Yeah. So I am the vice president of the board for a group called Migrant Legal Aid, and we help migrant farm workers with legal issues that deal with housing, immigration, health services, stuff like that. And as part of that, I give these talks all around the area called, Know Your Rights or Know Your Power, about people's constitutional rights when they come into contact with, among other agencies, ICE and Customs and Border Patrol. And we have specific presentations for immigrant communities, for sort of like general workplaces, which includes stuff like churches, hospitals, um, other sort of sensitive areas like that, schools, that kind of thing. And then I have one that's developed just for allies that various community organizations um, tend to want that one to know what to do. So I haven't given any of those talks since I've been back, but that doesn't mean I won't soon. I probably will. And it does tend to gear right back up in the fall when school starts again. And as you mentioned, Ryan, the need for that is just as strong as ever. So we are keeping up with that. I will take a moment just to note that we did get at least one small win, although it should have been obvious, from the Supreme Court today that basically said, hey, you know that 14th Amendment that says that if you're born here, you're a citizen? That's what it says. That's right. And but I will also note that while it should have been a unanimous decision, it was not. So if
of course not.
You think that means that specifically Justices Alito, Thomas, and Gorsuch in this case, and a little bit of Kavanaugh can't read, you're probably right. So
yeah. What?
Yeah.
Well, okay. So. You brought to me a silent film. We previously you brought to me a pre-code film, so we're going back almost 10 years. Well, no, not quite 10 years, but we're going back into the silent era today.
Mm-hmm.
So this is pre-code, and it is called Lady of the Night from 1925.
Correct.
And we are going to get to that in a second, but we are going to break the ice. Diana, I've decided to give you some silent film trivia. I want to test your knowledge about this era of film. For those of you that don't know, when movies first started, they didn't have sound, and that is known as the silent era. Okay, that's all you need to know going forward.
Different from the silent generation, actually. So that's
right.
A whole different thing.
Totally different thing. So your first question, or before we even start, how well do you think you might do on this? Do you know quite a bit about silent film? Because I know you are very much a classic Hollywood fan. You have a very encyclopedic knowledge of all things classic Hollywood, the Golden Age.
Right.
Basically the TCM stuff.
Yeah. I should do all right. I haven't seen, all the silence, and I maintain always that is not how film studies classes should start. I do not believe they should be chronological. And you would know more about this than I would, because I don't take film studies courses, or I could probably teach one because it would be fun. But I always thought, and I've had other students tell me that when they take a film studies class, it starts with the silent era and it's like sort of strictly chronological. And I strongly believe that that's not the gateway to classic film love. So when people ask me, which they actually do once in a while, how to get into classic film, I always say to start a little bit later and start with 1939. Also known as potentially one of the greatest years in film of all time, because almost all of your top films from 39 will introduce you to so many different types of film. And I say don't go back to the silence until you've gone through like pre-codes and stuff like that. So anyway, but it took me a long time to get into silence myself even.
Okay.
So
okay, that's interesting. I did I never really took a film history class other than a little elective course in community college called Film Viewing and Construction. And it was basically just two professors who knew a little bit about movies, I'm guessing from what they read in books, and basically just did the chronological order thing. We started out with Chaplin and Keaton. That was pretty much the only silence.
Right.
Then it went into, jumped forward to Casablanca. Like, we completely skipped the 30s, more or less. Anything from pre-code we skipped. Went straight to Casablanca. And then from there, it was a direct line to, On the Waterfront. So it was like that was your pretty much, your chronic.
Yeah.
No, I must correct myself. They did sneak in Citizen Kane in there.
Okay.
So,
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
but I agree with you.
Yeah.
I do agree with you, because I think there's two genres I've always said that you've really got to want to go there if you're going to watch them.
Right.
And if you're not really interested in it, you're not going to enjoy the experience. And that's musicals. And although silent film is not a genre, it's a categorization.
Fair.
I suppose, it's a type of film, but it encompasses all genres other than musicals.
There's science fiction silence, there's horror silence, there's romance silence, there's drama silence, there's obviously a million comedy silent. And that's the genre. The categorization or the characterization is just the sound or not the sound,
Right. And that's why I tell people, I'm like, there's tons of those, both of those I could recommend to you. But if you're not into that, you're just not going to enjoy it. And you and I have talked about this before about, I have lists of silent films I think could be shown to audiences today that would still work. In fact, a couple of them in these aforementioned trivia questions are ones I would put on that list. But
so I think I have a pretty decent knowledge. I'm not perfect scholar by any means, but I've seen a fair few. So,
well, with the help of Google and Wikipedia, I am a perfect film scholar. Just kidding. Okay, first one. Only 2 silent films have ever won the Academy Award for Best Picture. Name both of them.
Unfortunately, I think one of them is probably Birth of a Nation.
No.
No? Good.
That is not one of them. Nope.
Good.
Because that came out way before the Academy
Way before
Awards.
the Academy Awards. So it's closer to the end?
Yeah, because the first Academy Awards was in 1928, I believe, and it represented 27 and 28.
Yeah, and it was just starting to run out. Okay, I don't know.
Okay. The first one is Wings.
Wings, oh duh.
The very first official Best Picture winner. The other one is, I'm sorry, it's a bit of a trick question, but from 2011, The Artist was also a silent film, although it's not a total silent film because they do speak at the end of the movie. But so a little bit of a trick question.
Well, and a lot of silent films weren't total silent films because they did have some of them, but I should have remembered Wings. I've seen both of those within the last few months again, so oh well. Yeah.
And Wings is one of those I think actually holds up. I think it's
absolutely,
it's a product of its time, and but for a war film shot in 1927, it's actually spectacularly made. Like, it's the aerial photography.
Long shot in the cafe at first of all, I can watch that over and over, and second of all, I'm just like, oh, and look, there's the besuited lesbians, and there is the prostitutes, and there is the other soldiers. Like, you just start catching more and more in that one long shot.
Yeah.
And
that's all the people I want to party with, so exactly. I don't know what the problem is. Okay, well, you got that. Well, no, you didn't.
No, but I should have. Onward.
Well, let's see if you get this one. At the first Academy Awards, 2 films technically won for Best Picture. Both of them were silent films. Now, one of them was the aforementioned Wings, and it remains the only one to still be cited as an official winner of the Best Picture. However, there was a second one. What was that film called?
Okay, so the problem is actually very clear to me here. This is award show trivia. This is not actual silent film trivia.
We're moving on after this. We're moving on after this.
Don't really like or care about award shows. So.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
So sorry, I don't know this one either because,
Okay. Well, it was a little film called Sunrise, A Tale of Two Humans.
Which is another great film.
And it is a very great film. Mm-hmm. And it was actually awarded Best Picture Award in the category of Artistic Quality of Production or Unique and Artistic Picture. That was the only year.
Basically?
No, just that it was like a unique and artistic expression done through film. Like, not necessarily. Wings was definitely a more crowd-pleasing war film. Sunrise is more of an arts, what I guess now we'd call an art film. But anyway, that was the two categories. However, after the first Oscars, they decided to fold that into one category, which became what we now know as the Best Picture Award. So, Sunrise always gets left out of the montages.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't.
No, Sunrise is an excellent film. Especially, it took me, it wasn't my favorite Murnau at first. But it grows on you over time, number one. I don't know. The first time I watched it, I was just like, why is there a city train going through the forest? I really couldn't understand that. Yeah. But that was also partly because I didn't live in Germany in the 1920s. So what do I know, right? Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Then I get to ask you a question back. Are you ready?
Yeah.
This is the icebreaker I sometimes throw out in the classroom.
Uh-oh.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Is cheese better hot or cold?
Well, I mean, do I tell you my personal opinion?
Sure.
I mean, I prefer it. You know what? I'm going to say hot.
Yeah.
Because queso.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just one of those things that gets people talking for some reason. They're like, no, I like it this way.
Okay. Fair enough.
Random, but true.
Your third question. We're moving away from the Oscars.
Okay.
Which was the first feature film to use the Vitaphone synchronized music and effects system before spoken dialogue became standard? So this would have been musical score and sound effects synchronized to the action on screen. I'll give you a clue. It was released in 1926, a year after the film we're discussing.
Well, I want to say The Jazz Singer came later, and that did have sync dialogue.
Yeah.
But I also... There was a Fairbanks movie that was just on that I watched that had some synchronized sound and dialogue too. But man, I can practically see it, but I can't think of it.
No?
No, sorry.
1926's Don Juan.
Okay. Was that a Fairbanks Don Juan or?
You know what? I have no idea. I just wrote that one down for fun. Okay, so
that's all right.
This one's fun too. Which silent film famously featured a real flood created by destroying an actual dam?
Oh, that's a Cortez film. That's a Ten Commandments or something like that.
Nope.
It's a Bible film.
Nope.
It's not a Bible film?
Nope. 1923 is the year it came out. If you're still guessing, I won't tell you the other two clues.
Because the other one, that flood film that I remember, is a Garbo film with John Gilbert, where he's in South America. But I can't think of it. So
okay, it was our Hospitality with Buster Keaton.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
Realism.
He just did everything. They were like, we want to drop a house and you're going to stand in the window. He's like, okay, let's do it. Or he thought of it and they were like, no, you can't. And he's like, well, I will.
Yeah.
So
he was the original Werner Herzog meets Jackass.
Yeah.
Now, which silent film was once thought completely lost until a nearly complete print was discovered in a mental hospital?
In a mental hospital?
Yeah.
No, that one's not a silent one, and I'm thinking about American Horror Story now. Honestly, I have no idea. Most of the ones that I know that got discovered later were... No, I don't know.
Metropolis, 1927.
Metropolis.
Which makes
total
sense.
What was that doing there? Heart and Head?
You know what?
But they just... Huh.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
kind of glad that that's where it was found. Now here's one you might know.
Okay.
Mention because we
you
discussed...
thought I would actually know these, and I do not. Sorry,
I did.
That's all right.
So we spoke about Murnau. So here you go. Which silent horror film was almost completely destroyed due to copyright lawsuits based on an unauthorized adaptation?
Nosferatu.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Bram Stoker's wife said no, Nosferatu.
I teach that one in class.
Okay.
And I have actually shown that to students before and had them compare what they knew of the original Dracula, like novel or other interpretations versus Nosferatu. Just mostly as an excuse to make students watch a silent film for a reason that isn't just film studies.
Hell yeah.
But this last trip to China, I realized that Nosferatu and Dracula not quite as universal as we think over here in the West.
Oh, wow.
And so I found another film, a Chinese film, and this is one that I could potentially suggest, but for October, but I'm gonna give it away a little bit anyway. So this was considered, it's called Song at Midnight. It's from 1936, and it's a riff to some extent on Phantom of the Opera.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, interesting.
And
I've never heard of it.
So we watched. I hadn't either. I just started hunting for Chinese films, Chinese classic films that seem to take from something else, and this is what I found. And so I actually showed it in class in China.
Nice.
And most of the students had never seen it either. My conclusion was that it did not really copy Phantom of the Opera, but that there are some very similar elements between the two that are kind of fascinating. So, and that one's out there. Like, you can just pull it off YouTube like you did the film we're about to talk about. So
true.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to tell people that. No, I'm kidding.
No, it's public domain. That one's allowed. That's allowed.
That's true. Well, I was going to say, God bless movie pirates, because that's why we still have Nosferatu, because it was because they were ordered to destroy all the prints, but some people said, and ran off with it, and that's why we still have it today. So,
they snuck it out of Germany into the U.S., and because the copyright laws at that time especially did not really stretch to film, like, people talk about the Berne Convention and stuff like that. That had to do with books. That wasn't really about film. They didn't really think about that stuff. And so you didn't get that kind of copyright protection. So it was like, if you can get it out, you can show it. And that's what they essentially did with Nosferatu. And if they hadn't, we would have never seen it.
Right. So there's your moral quandary for today, folks.
Yeah.
Piracy, good or bad? Theft, good or bad? In the age of streaming, good or bad? So
in the age of streaming, ownership itself is actually something that is debatable these days. So.
This is true.
Yeah.
Here's a fun one. There were close to 70 to 75% of American-produced silent films were destroyed and lost forever during the 1930s and 1940s. Now, there are several reasons why, but are you familiar with just one of them? Do you know one of the reasons why that was, and why there are so many films that we either will never see or are incomplete, including the one we're discussing today?
Because the film was silver nitrate film, and it either broke down or caught fire, or like it was highly destructible stuff.
Yeah.
And it
Very
was
much.
not the kind of thing that you could really keep cheaply.
Yep.
And so they often just didn't. But on top of that, it was very flammable, and it could break down as well.
Yeah.
Those I know for sure. So.
Well, and a lot of it is too because prior to the 50s, movies were generally considered short-term commercial products rather than art, so studios really didn't care. However, during wartime, the economy required vast amounts of raw materials, so many studios actively destroyed older disposable entertainment to strip the silver from the film emulsion, or to reclaim the celluloid base for the war effort. And some of this was covered in Scorsese's film Hugo. So
that sounds so X-Men. Like we're going to mine the silver and the celluloid and create a super soldier. I don't know.
I wish they'd created a super soldier out of old Hollywood celluloid. That's an awesome movie idea.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's write the book first, and then
for sure.
All right. Lastly, since you were just on a flight and you said you watched some films, which silent film was the first feature film shown on an airline during a commercial flight?
I mean, Wings would be great, but I don't think so.
Yeah. That's like
Probably
showing Titanic on a
cruise ship.
Cruise ship.
Which is certainly how I would want to watch it, but
I know.
You and I are very bizarre that way compared to the rest of the world.
I want to watch Jaws sitting on an inner tube in the lake, I'm not scared.
Right. Exactly. No, I don't know.
Okay, it was The Lost World, the famous stop-motion dinosaur film.
Nice.
It was with the stop-motion dinosaurs created by Willis O'Brien, who later went on to assist with King Kong, who later inspired everything, really, from Spielberg and Lucas to Harryhausen, Peter Jackson, Tim Burton. So, the very first film shown on a commercial flight was a dinosaur film. So that's cool, I think. Anyway, let's get off of that now. We've got a movie to discuss, and I will just, I'm going to let you talk about it a little bit, but I'll give a little bit of facts and figures here, or as I like to call it, context. The film is called Lady of the Night, and it's a 1925 American silent romantic drama directed by Monta Bell and starring Norma Shearer in one of the earliest dual performances of her career. So she joins the illustrious ranks of Bette Davis, Michael B. Jordan, Jeremy Irons, and of course, Jean-Claude Van Damme. This film was produced by MGM during the studio's formative years, and it tells the story of two women born on the same day but raised in vastly different social classes, and explores themes of faith, sacrifice, and class inequality. It is only available, from what I understand, in a 62-minute version. I couldn't find too much information on this, so if you know something, please chime in. But I do know this is not the full version of the film, and some of it is still considered lost. Again, I don't know what was lost.
Neither. It actually feels, again, fairly complete for 62 minutes, and that seems to be our magic number.
Right.
2 films, 62 minutes. You're like, I'm going to have Diana on again because she only makes me watch an hour.
Yeah, and then just this past episode, someone gave me a 3 hour and 40-minute Bollywood film. So
nice.
I'm on the completely opposite side this time.
Unless you think that all silent movies are like this, they are absolutely not. Like,
hell no.
If you were to watch, at least I didn't pick, an Eric von Stroheim or something like that, because I can't remember if I mentioned this in the last episode or not, but Stroheim thought that movies should be a good 6 hours long. And he thought that you should go and watch a few hours of the movie, take a break and go have dinner somewhere, and then come back and watch a few more hours of the movie. That was to him what you should do. The fact that nobody has time to do that, and they didn't back then either, didn't seem to occur to him. So, I could have picked Greed or something like that, but I didn't.
You know what, Diana? I have still never seen Greed, which is weird because I am a fan. But I got Greed, I got Napoleon to watch. I've got those, what's that Fritz Lang film that's like 7 hours long that's about spies. So yeah, going back to as far as this being incomplete, it does show it a runtime of 1 hour and 10 minutes on IMDb, as opposed to Letterboxd that shows, I believe, the 62-minute runtime. And I don't know why I didn't write this down earlier, but it does have, let's see here, there is a dream sequence that was filmed in 2-color Technicolor running 42 feet in the 4th reel of the film, but it no longer survives. So what that is, well, obviously it's a dream sequence. Who knows? It's a shame.
Yeah.
That sucks.
That's why TCM has it as 90 minutes, because the black and white plus color, I think, is a grand total of 90 minutes. So it would have added, half an hour basically. And
yeah.
But on the flip side of that, it doesn't really need it necessarily. No. It might have been interesting, but the story is complete in your 62 minutes, I believe. So
I completely agree. I don't imagine, because I was thinking about that while I was watching it. I'm like, what more would have been added to this? But I mean, I'm one of those people that like, oh my God, if they found an extra 30 seconds of some movie, I got to see it.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I sort of. I'm not really on newer things, but like there's a lot of older Lost stuff that I'm always
for Nosferatu
curious.
Especially. Yeah. They kept finding snippets of more and more, and now we found this more complete version, and like when I thought about and did eventually buy like DVD or Blu-ray of that, I was like, well, I want the most complete possible one that I can get, because somebody's got to. And I love that film. So
yeah.
Exactly. So on the one hand, I would love to see more. I'd be very curious about it. But on the other, I do think this is a complete story, and it's not lacking for that missing footage.
So the plot of the film is about a man named Chris Helmer who's sentenced to 20 years in prison by a Mr. Judge Banning, and he leaves behind his infant daughter, Molly. And coincidentally, that same day, or around the same time, Judge Banning's own daughter, Florence, is also born. And as stated, this story talks about, or it deals with them close to 18 years later. They both graduate from school. Florence graduates from an elite girls' school. Molly graduates from a reform school. And they end up both falling in love with this inventor named David Page. And at the same time, Molly has this sort of nowadays people in the manosphere would say friend zone. But I hate that. He's just a dude that really likes her, and his name's Chunky. And he obviously
and not
wants
at all Chunky. It's just an actual nickname that you're curious how he got it, because it's not like it's this wasn't Roscoe Arbuckle playing in this film or anything like that. So
it's just as Chunky. So there's your plot basically. Is it just revolves around which woman is David gonna settle with, and this and that. We'll get more into that. Oh, and
by the way, Norma Shearer plays both women.
Oh yeah, well we're gonna get to the cast now. Although I do want, well, no, you know what? Let's just get this out of the way first. This film is often cited as containing the first screen appearance of Joan Crawford, although she was apparently billed under her birth name, Lucille LeSueur. I think I'm pronouncing that right.
Lucille LeSueur, you pronounced right, but I don't think you pronounced Joan Crawford right.
What did I say?
Crawford?
Oh, that's just the heat talking, man. It's Crawford. I know my Joan. Crawford. Hey, Joan, sorry. Forgive me, I have sweat running down my brow. So apparently she's in an uncredited role as a dancer or an extra, although in some cases I've read that she was a body double for Norma Shearer.
Norma Shearer, she was basically like, because there are scenes where both the Molly character and the Florence character are in the same frame. Yeah. The way they would do that was to put a body double there for the other person, for the star to act to. And Joan Crawford, as Lucille LeSueur, was that body double. This is the first role. Apparently, there's a flash, and you'd have to, probably pause it second by second, where where Molly and Florence hug, and you can see a flash of Crawford's face at that time. Okay. But I did not have frankly, the interest or the the time to, play pause with that necessarily. But I will tell you the trivia that I have read about that was, and if you know anything about Joan Crawford, you know that she was prodigious knitter,
Oh,
right?
okay.
She knit every time she didn't have to be on camera on set. She had her knitting there, and she would like knit, right?
No,
And
I did
so
not know this.
when she's sitting there, and when Norma Shearer had to play scenes with her, not only I think in this film, but also in like The Women in 1939, which was my first introduction to Norma Shearer. She would knit and make it really loud and clacky, basically to annoy Norma Shearer, because these two hated each other.
Of course they did.
Or, as I'd like to say, Joan hated Norma, and Norma was like, brush off my shoulder, because she was the queen of MGM at the time.
Right.
But it made it kind of delicious to know. It's fun to kind of know that background when those scenes come up. But
Sure.
Yeah.
Was that in the Ryan Murphy show? The feud
It
with
may have
Betty and
been,
Joan?
but I also have read most available biographies of Norma Shearer, which a new one needs to be written, and maybe someday I will.
You should.
But also, I've read a couple of Joan Crawford too. So,
Okay.
yeah, and that was a fairly common thread. Was she couldn't stand Norma Shearer, and she was just so pissed when Norma Shearer married Irving Thalberg, and who was the head of like production at MGM. They called him like the Wonder Kid, right?
Right.
And she kept maintaining, oh, well, Norma Shearer's just getting that part because she's married to the boss. But if you watch Norma Shearer's movies, no. She actually had a lot of talent. So,
oh, sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Our Joni was a little sour with her grapes often.
Well,
so in her
yeah, I was
life.
going to say very much often.
Yeah.
So Norma Shearer plays both Molly Helmer and Florence Banning. A little about Norma. She has 4 Oscar nominations and 1 win for The Divorcee. Other interesting facts, because I love these. She was one of the celebrities whose picture Anne Frank placed on the wall of her bedroom in the secret annex while hiding during the Nazi occupation of Amsterdam. Interesting.
Norma she was huge. She's actually one of my favorites.
Okay.
I just love her. She, from everything I've read, which is quite a bit, she was told when she was quite young that she wouldn't be able to be a star. She wasn't pretty enough, number one, which is obviously not true.
Who the fuck said that?
Men? I mean,
not this man.
But she also had something of a like lazy eye. One of her eyes was. So she did the thing where you like try and strengthen and focus your eye by covering the other one and like staring at a candle flame and shit like that. Like, so, and she just personally did that. Someone once told her that her legs looked chunky or heavy. You'll notice that she absolutely never wears a short skirt in her films. It's gowns and pants for our Norma. She took that to heart. And again, I don't.
Who the hell? Okay.
Honestly, even some of the authors, like there are at least 2 Norma Shearer biographies at our local library. I've read them both, and at least one of the authors was like, not she was told her legs were chunky, but just was like, yeah, and so her legs were really chunky, so like they just accepted it. And of course, again, it was dudes who were writing that about her. So
damn it, dudes.
Anyway, yeah, but you couldn't keep her down, and I think one of the things that this film is so great at is showing her facial range between these 2 characters, because like on the one hand it takes a suspension of disbelief, like really nobody's saying, hey, you 2 look alike.
Well, yeah
but on the other hand, she does play them so differently, and in a silent film where you're not dealing with tone of voice or anything like that, that's a pretty major accomplishment to be able to, like, we know which one is which and which one has which attitude.
Yeah.
Just at a glance, basically, because she's really good at that.
Well, she was joined by, there was one other piece of trivia I wanted to read about her, but you probably know this. She turned down both the roles of Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind and the title role in Mrs. Miniver. So those are some pretty big roles she turned down, but you know what? Whatever. Apparently she also discovered Janet Leigh.
Yes, that's one that Janet Leigh tells that story a lot.
Okay.
And this was after Thalberg died, and he died pretty young, right? So she was a widow pretty quickly after. I mean, not like immediately, but he had a heart condition, and he was never gonna live for very long. And so she went skiing in, like, I don't know, Vale or someplace, one of those. Yeah, Sun Valley, one of those places where people go skiing. I don't know. It's not my sport. And there was Janet Leigh's dad worked there or something, and there was a picture of her by the desk, and she said, "Oh, she's so pretty," and got her screen test and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so, but the point of the skiing part was that Norma Shearer's second husband or last husband was a skiing instructor there, I believe.
Ooh.
So, yeah, she actually, after Irving Thalberg died later on, she wanted to hook up, and probably did hook up, with George Raft, who played gangsters all the time.
Oh, yeah.
But she would not be allowed to do that. Not the sweetheart of Hollywood can't be with the guy who plays all the gangsters and who probably knows a few in real life. So she couldn't marry him. So
once again, who the hell said no? So, Mr. David Page, the electrifying romantic interest of this film, is played by a Mr. Malcolm McGregor, star of numerous silent MGM dramas. I thought this was interesting. Nothing at all to do with his film career, but he was the skipper of the first sailing vessel to go through the Panama Canal when he and a Yale classmate sailed from New York to San Francisco on a 65-foot sloop. So that is really more exciting than anything he does in this movie.
Correct.
And so I had to mention it. I'm not saying that is a bad or good thing. I'm just saying, guy's not the most exciting dude. So most
of the heroes back in silent times, most of the time they weren't.
No.
You had him. You had Johnny Mac Brown, who had been like a football player or something like that.
Yeah.
You had
Quasimodo.
some of the people in who's the Richard Arlen, I think, is the second guy in Wings, who's like the noble guy in Wings.
Yes.
Like, and again, it's just like all you had to have to be the hero in a silent movie was the right jawline. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's true.
Do you have a noble chin and jawline that we can capture and profile in nice black and white? Great, you're the lead.
Or do you have one that's slightly sinister? Because then you can have an entire career like Boris Karloff, or Rondo
or Peter
Hatton.
Lorre, even But yeah, like our heroes. I mean, even Lars, whatever his last name is, from Sunrise, not that exciting. Although he has at least some emoting to do in that. But
sure.
Lady of the Night is not about anybody but the girls.
Yeah,
which is kind of a thread of the movies that I pick.
I've noticed that. You're not making Clavicular and Angie Tate very happy.
I never would. Never would.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. In fact, didn't I just make a whole video on my YouTube channel making fun of one of those two?
Yeah,
I did. Now, Chunky is played by George K. Arthur. Often played comic supporting roles during the silent era, and then as the Bannings, we have Fred Esmelton and Dale Fuller, and they, Dale Fuller worked a lot with Eric von Stroheim, and Esmelton was a character actor in dozens of films, but I couldn't find any really cool factoids about them, so we're going to move on to the crew. I'll just go through this pretty quick. The director is Montabell, also known for directing Pretty Ladies and After Midnight. Our story was actually penned by two women. We have Adela Rogers St. John's, and she was one of Hollywood's best-known female journalists and screenwriters. She was also a 1932 Oscar nominee for the original story for What Price Hollywood. And then our scenario, that's something in silent films where people would come up with a scenario and then someone else would write the story. And then oftentimes you'd have another person write the intertitles, which is what those little pop-up screens you see that show you what they're saying or give you brief narration. So anybody who's watched those, in fact, Diana, this is how hot I am that I'm losing all my best ideas. Is I'm just realizing now we should have made this my first episode to do video, and we could have done it all with intertitles. And damn it, why didn't I think of that?
Because we'll just do it for a silent horror film for October. How about it?
Just a lot of sped up footage of me and you gesturing and emoting with our eyes.
We could use a lot more fun fonts for something like that too.
Yeah.
So
I'll put some creepy organ music under it.
Exactly.
Our editor was Mr. Ralph Dawson, and he later went on to win 3 Academy Awards for editing. One was for the 1955 film The High and the Mighty, or I should say 1955 Oscar nominee for The High and the Mighty. Also for Anthony Adverse, A Midsummer Night's Dream, and my personal favorite, because I think it's honestly one of the best films ever made, and that is The Adventures of Robin Hood, starring Errol Flynn and Olivia de Havilland. God, I love that movie. And
those two crackle. They just do.
Yeah.
Because they were crazy about each other, but she would not marry him. She was just like, oh, no, I'm not. You're an alcoholic. You're a womanizer.
Yeah.
I love you, man, but nope. So,
I mean, he is pretty damn handsome. I'm not going to lie.
He was quite something. Yep.
Yeah. I was telling our mutual friend, Rick, I was explaining to him, like, you know how you have those moments when you've either heard about a star or a band or something, and then you don't see one of their movies forever, or you don't hear the music.
Yeah.
And then one day one day I realized, I'm like, I've never seen an Errol Flynn film. So I decided to go with Robin Hood. And within 10 minutes, I was like, okay, I get it. I see why this guy was a star.
Same with Valentino for me.
Yeah.
Valentino I saw in still photographs so many times, and I was like, okay, he's a good looking guy, but whatever. And then I saw either the Sheik or the Son of the Sheik, and I was like, oh, okay, yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and he had said that about the first time he saw Some Like It Hot, because he's like, you get used to seeing her picture, and then when you see her actually in a movie, you're like, okay, no wonder everybody was in love with this woman. Like, she's, and so that was my moment was with Errol Flynn and Robin Hood. I was just like, damn, like, okay, movie star.
Yep.
Like, this is what every movie star's been chasing since, is to be that.
The it factor, for sure, without a doubt. Yep.
Now, I do want to mention, because this is a silent film, but it does have some music played over it that was composed in 2006. And I'm guessing you and I both watched the same print of this. And I haven't read anything about it having a different music track. But I do want to mention this because this guy's pretty cool. His name is John C. Marsalis, and he is a scientist, film historian, and silent film accompanist who has been creating silent film scores for about 40 years. He's performed at the George Eastman House, the Library of Congress, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, the whatever, just a lot. And some of he's worked with recording scores for a lot of Kino International, Milestone Films, Flicker Alley, and TCM. And some of his scores that he's done for silent films are Othello, The Mark of Zorro, Don Q, Son of Zorro, A Little Princess, The Ocean Waif, the 1925 Phantom of the Opera, and one of my favorite Fritz Lang films, Woman in the Moon. So he basically has done a lot of scores and helped preserve a lot of movies. In fact, he's also an expert on silent screen star Lon Chaney, and he manages the lonchaney.org website. And
Nice.
he is also consulted for and assisted with film preservation projects by the Library of Congress, UCLA Film Archives, and other major film archives. But he is perhaps best known as the person who found the missing reel of Laurel and Hardy's comedy short, The Battle of the Century, that was made in 1927. So
Nice.
this guy's pretty cool. I kind of want to be friends with him.
Yeah, I feel like we
And
would all get along pretty well.
Yeah.
We all have some similar fandoms there.
he runs a
At the
Lon Chaney
time-
website. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I love Lon Chaney. And again, Lon Chaney's silence and pre-codes are kind of some of the most amazing things out there. He really, truly was that whole man with 1,000 faces doing all his own makeup for everything and all that kind of stuff,
Oh, yeah.
you know? And
You know
another one that's weirdly like, if you watch enough Lon Chaney, you're like, is he he's attractive. Right?
I
He's
get
supposed
it.
to be this wacky all over, like he played Phantom of the Opera and created this makeup, and he's kind of craggy, but like every once in a while he looks at the camera and you're like, I bet you could do it all. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, I was rewatching The Bride of Frankenstein, a little less than a year ago, and at the beginning part, when it's just the Mary Shelley and Byron and stuff telling stories, and they show Elsa Lanchester outside of the bride makeup, I'm like, oh my
lovely.
God, she's adorable. And
Yeah,
then, but
she's
like,
lovely.
I can't decide, is she cuter out of the makeup? And then I'm like, no, of course she's cuter in the makeup, Ryan. What are you talking about? Because this is me. So anyway, I mean, we've already been talking about this. So I guess what prompted you to suggest this movie to me? Like, what is your personal experience with this movie? And I know you're quite fond of it. In fact, I saw your Letterboxd rating. So, talk a little bit to me, tell me a little bit about what it is about this film that made you want to bring it to this show.
Well, it starts with Norma Shearer. The first time I ever saw a Norma Shearer film, it was The Women from, again, Greatest Year in Film, 1939. And I just fell in love with her, even though she's not even she's not a crazy bitch character in that, and much everybody else is. And, but it made me want to find more of her work. And obviously she was huge in the pre-code times, and I'd seen that, but like, as I explored more of her background and read about her and stuff, I was like, oh, she was pretty big in the silent era too. And so I've seen a few of her silent films. The other one, speaking of Lon Chaney, that I would have suggested, but you've already seen it, of course, is He Who Gets Slapped.
Oh, hell yeah.
Which is an excellent, excellent film and fun to talk about. And you've got, I mean, what more do you want? Norma Shearer and Lon Chaney and John Gilbert and a circus and a lion that eats somebody on purpose. It's amazing. It's the best. Anyway, so, but Lady of the Night really showcases her, and it was written to be a showcase for her. Like, this was for, like, we're going to give you this film. It's your film. You're going to play dual roles, and you're going to show people what you're really made of. And she did. And like, honestly, as we kind of discussed already, most everybody else in this film, take them or leave them. Don't need them really, though. Like, I just am interested in her performance. Like, she's just playing off of everybody else, and not in a chewing scenery kind of way, but in I am making these characters the only ones that you want to see kind of way. So, and I had also heard the Joan Crawford playing the sort of background story, playing the body double or what have you. So, I wanted to see that. And so when it gets run, I do tend to watch it, and that's what brought me to it. And I just think it's all about her.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I had seen The Women, and I'd seen He Who Got Slapped. I've maybe seen a couple of her other movies, but going into this, I wasn't that fluent and familiar with her career. So this is probably the first one where I was really, really hyper focused on her, because how could you not be?
Right.
And yeah, she definitely does that. Although, there's the trashy, there's the classy. Although I'll take trashy over classy any day, but I reject that term, even though that's probably what they would have called her back then. She is a prostitute, although they don't say that out loud.
Is she? She's a dance hall girl.
She is, but
yeah,
yeah.
But like, I think
her friends are always talking about having to humor guys, and
yeah, her friends are definitely prostitutes.
Oh,
yeah.
for sure.
But like, she's got Chunky as her, quote unquote boyfriend, but he's definitely not her pimp or anything because he's weak sauced. So but yeah, I mean, she's coded for sure, and she and her friends are coded as, I mean, that's what Lady of the Night means, right?
Exactly.
Usually. But yeah. So
yeah, there's a great scene early on, where or a shot, I should say, really, where they're going into this club, Kelly's. They keep referencing Kelly's in the intertitles, but I don't know what the actual.
That's what it's called. It's a dance hall.
So
basically,
no, there's a great shot of them standing in front of a sign that says, and I quote, "Encourage decent dancing. Do your bit." It's like decent. And you look at the dance floor. You and I have been to some clubs, okay?
Yeah.
If we had seen people like that doing that kind of dance at any of those clubs, that would have been like, oh my God, these old people, what do they do? Because some of the dancing I've seen is what I would definitely call indecent. Not that I mind, but so that just made me laugh, because when they cut to the dancers, they're just doing a little arms around each other twirl thing.
Yeah, it's the fact that there's no space between them. Like,
oh, is that it?
I think that's part of it. Like, I have heard and seen in movies, like, of people being at a dance and the chaperone would bring a ruler.
Oh, you gotta make room for Jesus.
Yeah, put a foot between them, basically, with the ruler. And so the fact that you had men and women in an upright yet touching position was basically like, that was considered lewd. It was sex on the dance floor, even though everyone's fully clothed. And we think it's funny. Like, that's what people do at fucking weddings now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like...
Yeah, but it was not considered a nice thing to do, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to Detroit City Club, okay? Like, I've seen some shit. So I'm just like, they should get a sign that says encourage decent dancing.
Yeah, I would actually love a sign like that, but it would mean something totally different. Like, it would mean that I could walk up to the people who don't have any rhythm and be like, get out. You're not,
oh, right.
You're done.
Yeah.
You can't dance. I'm sorry. Oh, you think that you're going to be here just because you're hot? Nope. You got to have rhythm. Get out.
See, and that's why I never go on the dance floor, is because I know I can't do it. Or in the past, after several beers, I would.
Yeah, but you can also DJ, so
that's true. And I can wallflower with the best of them, man. If you've never seen me wallflower at a club, then you've never seen wallflowering. This movie did, because it's obvious when you say this, but obviously it's the visuals that get you with. I mean, with any movie, film is a visual medium. But silent film especially has to tell its story without dialogue. I always like it when there's less intertitles and there's a lot more of just visual storytelling. And this one does a fantastic job, I think, in its opening scene, because we see Molly's dad and Molly's mom in a really rundown, like, tenement building. There's a cop waiting outside the door, checking his watch. Neighbors are walking by, just like looking in, like, tisk-tisking. And they show this couple sitting in bed, and there's a baby between them. And then they cut to this brilliant close-up of the guy's handcuffs, and the little baby's hand is gripped around the chain of the handcuffs. And I'm like, you need to show this to film students about how
Yeah.
to visually set up a story, because that is just, it's brilliant. Like
Yep.
that whole sequence is just a perfect, you don't need to know anything more. Like obviously I do want to know more, and it's probably one of the things I may discuss later in my opinion on the film. But that is it was such a striking scene that I was like, okay, awesome opening. I'm ready for this. So that got me right away. Now I'm asking you this because I think we both watched the same print. I don't know where this print was sourced from. I actually didn't look into whether or not this has ever been released on physical media. But the copy I watched was pretty dark.
Yeah, very dark.
Did you have that? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so it wasn't just me. Okay.
No, it's a real rough print when it's in the dark. The dark scenes are extremely dark, and that's presumably like as restored as it could be for those particular scenes. Like, I mean, when you see a really bad print of something, it means that I think it means that they were afraid to do much more to it without ruining
Destroying
or
it.
something,
Yeah.
like, so it's certainly not the worst print I've seen, because,
No.
you start getting into old movies and you see some prints with like water stains and all kinds of crap all over them. But
which
it
I
is
will set
very,
through, of course. And
well, because like I gotta see it. But yeah, so it was very dark, and there were definitely a few scenes where you can't really see what's going on.
No, and that kind of bugged me because I have from what I could see, and in a lot of the rest of the movie, I feel like this is a very, could be, or maybe it is, and we just don't know, visually striking film. And unfortunately, I think a lot of that is missed in the print. I if anybody out there knows where this we found it on YouTube. If anyone knows where that was sourced from, if it ever aired on anything, I don't know.
It's aired on TCM. It's aired on TCM.
I was going to ask you, because that's probably where you saw it, right? Or
yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I mean, they do their Silent Sunday nights most of the time, and if I don't have to get up early on Monday, I will stay up and watch whatever they've got on just to see,
of course,
or I'll record it. But there's only so much you can do with those older prints. So unless someone finds in a vault somewhere, which has happened, then this is what we have to work with. And I think, excuse me, they were probably playing with it quite a bit, because you have the scenes with Molly, and not the dance hall so much, but definitely like her neighborhood and stuff are much darker than the scenes with Florence and her neighborhood. They weren't trying to beat you over the head with it. Like, it's still a cute, fun, like sort of movie, and it has kind of a fun ending as well. But they did really imply the differences between the two women in a lot of ways, not just in the dark and light in terms of the actual lighting of the film, but in makeup, in costume, and and I don't mean the obvious part, like one dresses slutty and one doesn't. I mean the fact that a lot of times when Florence is going out, she has this like halo of tulle around her head, like she's the angelic type, and meanwhile, we've got some edgy spit curls on Molly, dark lipstick and all that stuff. I do love a spit curl. I do.
So hot.
I have been known to do that myself. So
there's that scene where she's putting on everything in front of the mirror to go out, and I'm just like,
fanning himself, everyone. He was fanning himself.
Yes, because A, it was hot, and B, Norma Shearer was hot in her, whatever you call that, that era. Was she a flapper? I don't know what. I don't know what she was.
Everybody kind of claims that flapper identity from the 20s. Like Joan Crawford was like, I was the first flapper, and then Colleen, I cannot think of her last name right now, but it will come to me, and Clara Bow, like they were all, kind of claimed to be the first flapper. But Colleen Moore was in Why Be Good, and that was a flapper film as well. So I would put Norma along with that, but she was able to transition through the 30s But she retired pretty early, so she didn't have to get too deep into the 40s. You know, she didn't have to go that big of a style change necessarily. Her biggest times were in the late 20s and early 30s. And, you know, she did a lot of films, or at least a few films, that Joan Crawford remade later. Like,
oh, really? Okay.
yeah, she did a 1929 version of The Last of Mrs. Cheney, and Joan Crawford did a sound version of that later on. So,
that I didn't know either. Okay.
Yeah. So, and she had bit parts in the early 20s stuff, but you know, she did lots of cool stuff and lots of, I guess we would call them rom-coms now, but not really, because they were just sort of a little more interesting than that with you. Like Her Cardboard Lover is like that, and that one's from 42. So she didn't mind making fun of herself and her stardom. Like she didn't mind, you know, kind of looking a little ridiculous at times. So, but The Divorcee, that's actually kind of interesting because that was when she was at MGM. She's the queen of the lot at MGM, and her husband is Thalberg, and he didn't want to cast her in it. He was like, no, this isn't your style. This is, you know, totally different. So she went and had her photos taken by one of the top photographers at the time, George Horrell, and took freaking sexy, smoldering, look at the camera and whatever kind of photos. And she basically showed them to Thalberg. I like to picture her throwing them on his desk and being like, so I can't do that part, huh? Because that's how she got him to. That's how she got him to give it to her. So,
okay. And then these pictures are available on Google. If I was to,
yep,
nice.
Yeah, and you know they're kind of almost boudoir photos, but not quite.
You know, I'm a grown boy. I can handle it.
Here, I'm gonna link to them in our chat there from his website. So. Yeah, but you can see one of them just right on that page. And that's,
oh, wow.
That's, yeah. You know, she was just like, can't be sexy, huh?
Yeah, no kidding. Damn.
Yeah.
I'm okay. This is one of those people where I know his work very well, but I did not know his name.
He shot these are everybody. These are
like iconic.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah, so and that was basically how she gets in and ends up making The Divorcee, which she wins the Oscar. How about winning a fight with your husband by basically being like, and the Academy is with me too.
Right,
like, seriously,
I know.
Is that not the best I told you so ever?
Yeah.
So right up there. So yeah, I've seen quite a few of her films, and now basically if there's going to be a Norma Shearer film on, I tend to want to see it. If it's one I haven't seen, and if it's one I have, basically.
Yeah, I'll have to definitely check out some more.
But I still think like this one is one of the best. I really like the juxtaposition of, you know, she's at the dance hall, you know, dancing, doing her dime a dance, taxi dance, whatever you want to call it. And then they fade into the nice party at Florence's house, and they're dancing the same way, you know, but it's everybody's dressed up nicer. They did a lot of that transitioning back and forth. And it works, you know, even just there's at least a couple shots of like Molly just staring out the window, and then we switch over to Florence, who's also just staring out the window.
Yeah.
And I thought that they understood each other before they even met each other. And then once they do meet, you show that if they weren't so separated by class, that they probably could have been friends. But this is definitely a know your place, class war kind of film.
Yeah. I think that was something I wasn't quite aware of while I was watching it initially. Mm-hmm. And then on a second watch, I became a lot more aware of that. And a lot of the stuff that kind of didn't work for me the first time made more sense the second time. Mm-hmm. I don't often rewatch the movies, but yours I did because they're both so short.
Yeah.
Whereas it took me 3 nights to watch the Bollywood movie, even though I loved it. It's just like I I don't have that much time.
Yeah. Who does?
So, well,
Yeah.
I definitely try to make the time, but sometimes you just get like, I don't know if I can do an almost 4-hour movie tonight. But I can
And
watch
take
this.
notes.
Yeah. When the music's so good and I'm not even paying attention and I'm just like, crap, I love this movie. I don't have anything intelligent to say about it. I better do some research. But I definitely think it benefited, at least for me, of a second viewing. And from what I kind of delved into online about it, because I don't, I've said this many times, but I don't look up any of this stuff beforehand. I try to go into a movie as tabula rasa as possible. But afterwards, that's when I like to look everything up and, kind of see what did critics think of it at the time? What did they think of it now? What is its importance in film history and all that kind of stuff? Especially with these older movies that you've brought me and my friend Rick with Hell's a Pop, and it was quite interesting to go back and to like read contemporaneous stuff about it. But there wasn't too much about this one. And I think what I was able to ascertain, and, feel free to, add more to it or whatnot. But I think the reason this one, or from what I've read, the reason this one still kind of maintains its reputation, or not so much its reputation, but the reason it's still kind of considered important, etc., is not necessarily because of its content, but because of it was such a showcase for Norma Shearer, and it was kind of the beginning of what would become the big studio star system, and how they, would sign up actors for the studios, and then the studios would turn them into stars. And from what I guess, all this kind of coalesced at around this time with this movie. And I don't know, maybe you can discuss that a little bit more eloquently than me, because I didn't quite understand all that. But
well, I mean, if you want to go back further, you go back to early 20s or late teens, and you start to think you're watching the films with like the Gish sisters and with Mary Pickford and with all that kind of stuff. It's only because people started to demand it that they even told people the names of the people who were actors, right? When film first started, the actors were like, psh, whatever, they in fact would hide their names, or they wouldn't say their name. They were just the workhorses, right? Everything was about the director, eventually the camera person, and all of that kind of stuff. So the stars weren't stars in the beginning until, like, I mean, not to be all like, yay, democracy, but the people kind of demanded, like, no, this person told me this story and they were amazing. I want to know who they are and I want to see more of them. And I don't care if you directed it or who directed it, So in that regard, when we're hitting the mid-20s, we're starting to see more of that happening. I would say that really started with Mary Pickford, with that sort of demand and stuff. And I think I've mentioned this before, but there is a fascinating book about Mary Pickford and Frances Marion, who wrote most of Pickford's pictures and a bunch of other pictures as well. That's just really a snapshot of early Hollywood, really, really early Hollywood in New York, and how it didn't get taken over necessarily by men and by the system right away. It only once, frankly, a lot of women made it successful, and then the men were like, "Oh, wait a minute! Actually, we can make money off of this," and then they sort of relegated women, go be an editor or whatever, a lot of times, but they were always interested in whatever makes people show up to the films. And if it's I love Norma Shearer or I love Mary Pickford or whatever, they really started to go for it. And they started to basically sign them to these contracts that were like, you're ours. And, we're going to push you and we're going to pay you a lot of money, but we tell you what to do. Right.
Yeah.
And so this film, Lady of the Night, was absolutely designed as a showcase for her talents. And, you know, more power to her because she really does showcase her talents between the two,
I agree.
you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, she does it. I mean, the costumes help, right?
Sure.
But she's so expressive. You really get everything you need to know about these women just from her facial expressions.
Yeah.
Especially in that scene with the two of them in the car, where we're seeing both of them sort of emote at each other just with their faces. I mean, it's a cliche to quote Sunset Boulevard, and we had faces then, but it's true.
Right.
You know, like it's absolutely true. And the dialogue was sort of secondary to it. You know what I mean? Like, it's helpful and it's funny sometimes, like the one-liners and stuff. Like when Molly's trying to act like she knows big words and she tells Chunky, "Don't be previous." And I think she meant presumptuous. I think she was trying to say presumptuous. You know,
I laughed at that. I actually thought it might be a typo, but I was like, okay.
No, I think that was to show like she's trying to use big words and doesn't really understand which ones are correct. But you know, it's cute. It's a cute moment, you know? But so then it did really start that sort of star system. And when I joke that she's the queen of MGM, that was her title in the fan magazines. That was her title. Like, she was the one who at that time, up until she stopped making films, she was pretty much still the queen of MGM. And she could do pretty much what she wanted. But even, again, as we see with the divorcee, she still had to prove herself here and there. And she did. That's the thing. Like, Joan Crawford can pitch all she wants, except for the proof is actually in the movies. And they're there. And we see them, you know.
For sure.
There is a kind of moment that is a little bit reminiscent of the baby clutching the handcuffs.
Yeah.
And that's later when Molly's making dinner for Dave, and Chunky pops over and he's trying to hold that like light beam coming from the hole in the shade, and it's highlighting this magazine, and you know there's definitely some symbolism there of holding the light kind of situation, which is interesting.
Or trying to catch something that's that's intangible, you know,
intangible and unable. And I just want to call out too, shout out to the spinster aunt, which is a character I always enjoy as a spinster aunt myself.
Right.
You know, she's the classic spinster aunt with the glasses and the I don't think you should go out unchaperoned and all that. And what I love is we get a little edge to Florence at one moment, and she's like, "T, you never got married, did you?"
Yeah.
Like, and it was so classic. It's really funny to me as someone who is 51 years old, almost 52, who's never been married, who just does my own thing. The way spinsters are portrayed in these old movies is hysterical to me because, and that is the word for sure, because it's just like, oh man, you know, maybe she was a little smarter than you think. You know, and that's actually one of my taglines on a lot of my social media profiles is from another film, and I cannot even remember the name of the film, but one of the characters was listed as an influential local spinster, and that's how I like to think of myself. I'm an influential local spinster.
Well, what's the uncle equivalent of this? Because that's me.
You're the bachelor uncle. You know.
Oh, so I'm just a bachelor. Yeah,
I believe so. I don't think you get the negativity attached to spinsters necessarily, but it's you know.
Yeah. Well, that's because, you know, I'm a guy and apparently we, you know, make all the rules.
Yeah.
Oh, it's exhausting.
It is. That's a lot of pressure for you.
I know. It's unbelievable. And you women just don't help by being better at everything.
Yeah. Sorry. Not really. But the other thing is like, the other thing I will note, speaking of men and women and hetero relationships, is just how freaking clueless Dave is. Like, he's like, oh, Molly's a good little pal. You know, she's in love with Chunky. It's like, yeah, what was your first clue that she wasn't? Was it when she made dinner for you and she made Chunky sit over by the door?
Yeah.
And the two of you had your nice date? Like, and meanwhile, the instant Florence, you know, meets meets Molly, she's like, oh, she's in love with you.
Yeah.
Like that
it's
is
like, duh.
I have seen that happen in real life many times before,
Yeah.
where the guy's like, what? No, that's just my friend or whatever. Or no, we're cool. It's fine. And the other person or the woman is like, no, that person has a thing for you or they have a crush on you or what have you. I'm sure you've seen it too.
Oh, and it can backfire. Like, don't ever tell your female friends, like, about a female that you may or may not be interested in, because they will proceed to tell you every little thing means something, and then you'll end up putting yourself on the line and find out this person, in fact, does not have any interest in you, and your friends talked you into doing something stupid. I'm not saying this has ever happened to me, but it may have.
I will say this, the last thing about the film before we get to your judgment is I wouldn't call this a happy ending. I would call this, though, a make the best of it kind of ending.
I would agree with you.
And I kind of like that. I kind of think we might need a little more of that in the world, especially like people did just kind of get on with things in some of these older films and in these older times. Because, you just kind of like, well, I can, lock myself in my room and, feel all dramatic about it. Or I can just, let's do this, and I kind of like that sort of make the best of it aspect. So,
and it's probably not going to last, but whatever, have some fun, Yeah. The other one probably won't. Well,
yeah, the crash hasn't happened yet. It's only 1925. Yeah. You don't know what's gonna come in 29. So enjoy yourself for a few years.
Yeah, just keep your eyes on that on what's happening in Germany in a few years. Just keep your eyes on that. But my all-time favorite moment in this, when Molly sneaks over to Dave's lab or his workshop or whatever, and he's not home, so she just kind of lets herself in.
Nobody had any locks. It was a tenement part of town. There were no locks.
She sneaks into his house and she's going through his stuff just casually, and she finds some crackers. And she takes them out and she sits down on his bed and starts eating the crackers. And she's just staring sullenly off camera while eating crackers. And I'm like, I've been there. I feel that moment.
Yeah, she's exploring like his workshop and his life, really.
Yeah. And then she doesn't bother brushing the sheet off. And later he comes back and he finds cracker crumbs.
Yeah. It's just a nice little moment. He it's a shot of him sleeping. And he wakes up and brushes off the sheets and then lays back down, and that's the end of the scene. And it's just like, glad they left that one in there. That's funny.
Yeah. I mean, we've been there, right? You've sat in a dark room eating a cracker listening to Disintegration on repeat, right?
Yeah, for sure.
or I Just Want Something I Can Never Have on repeat.
Yep.
Not the whole album, just that song.
Oh, Pearl Jam's Black was one that I would sing that. I do that one around our Top of the Rock years. That one was one that was on
the Ship song, Nick Cave, the Ship song. Yeah.
But yeah, it is funny. Like, and what I keep thinking of too is one of the things that people say is, "Oh, I wouldn't throw so and so out of bed for eating crackers."
I know.
And he was basically like, "I think he would. He'd probably throw Molly out."
Yeah, I wouldn't. It'd be like, you eat all those crackers you want. Yeah. Because those cracker crumbs you're already seeing in my bed, those are from me. So go ahead and add to the pile. I'm in love with you.
Yeah. We're going to mix our crumbs.
Hell yeah. That's what more people need to do. Mix your crumbs.
Yeah. Mix your crumbs. Okay. We're going to make t-shirts that say that, and no one will know what they mean.
Hell yeah. When we get it, because I'm going to eventually have a merch store. I swear. As God is my witness. Yeah. I shall never go hungry again.
The other thing that was kind of funny about this, before I forget, is how the one of Florence's friends has a lisp, and how they do the lisp in the intertitles.
You're like, what? Okay. Yeah. Because you didn't have to do that. Like, you really didn't have to do that. But...
No, I think that's kind of the fun part. Is, again, in such a short film, they still got a few, like, rando moments that are just kind of funny and enjoyable. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. This did not kill me. I'm going to give this a mild thrill. I only say that because on one level, I absolutely enjoyed this. I liked Norma Shearer is perfect in it. She looks great. I obviously, as indicated throughout this podcast, had a huge crush on Molly. And I might even dress as her for Halloween one of these years.
It would be a great Halloween costume. I've always thought so.
Have you?
Always, yeah.
In fact, I now have an idea for my Friday promo for when this episode comes out. But yeah, she's great. And like you said earlier, this movie, she is the reason to watch this. The other characters in this are nothing more than narrative devices disguised as human beings to move her along through the story.
Yeah, they are all NPCs, and she is definitely the main character.
I would agree. Like, I would even say her, I keep forgetting, I keep wanting to say Florentine, but it's Florence, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Florence. I would even say her Florence isn't even as interesting as Molly.
No, no. Just only interesting in the contrast, really.
Yeah, Florence's two character traits are rich and pretty. Like, and chaste. Like, because, there's the one scene where Dave's going to kiss her and she just, no. Yeah. But then she decides to kiss him. And then she's like, oh, now I need to go home.
I'm wicked. Take me home.
Yeah, I'm so wicked. I didn't even tongue kiss you. We just kissed on the lips. But, whatever. It's of its time. But
True. Dave
could not be any blander. Like, his only personality trait is he invented something. Yeah. And he, as a mostly straight male, I didn't find anything physically attractive about him. So I don't really know what the big deal was other than, he's invented something. So now he's going to be rich. So I can see why like someone like Molly would be like, well, hey, there's my meal ticket. Except I don't think she was after him for that reason. I think she genuinely loved him because she knew him before he got rich.
Well, and the other thing is that I have mentioned aforementioned jawline, which is a big thing at that time. But one scene that we didn't really mention was, some guy she's dancing with gets handsy with her at the dance hall in the early part, and Chunky tries to defend her and can't, and it's Dave who comes through and defends her. And you see her face light up at that point. That's why I think a big piece of it. But like also just like, oh, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's kind of nice because he doesn't seem to judge her. I mean, he's at the same bar. And he starts off the movie as he's not exactly rich. It's only once he invents something and then Molly convinces him, because Chunky's first thought is, oh, I know some crooks you should sell it to. Because basically Dave invents a machine that somehow can open any safe in the world. Don't ask. It's not important. It's just a thing he made. And
it's a MacGuffin before there was a MacGuffin.
Yeah, it's just a thing you need to know in this movie that for some reason is going to make Dave a rich man, because Chunky says, oh, I know some crooks you could sell it to. And Molly, having a father who's still in prison, says, no, life of crime or whatever, crooks aren't the way to go. Sell it to the bankers. Why bankers would need it, I don't know. But anyway, the bankers decide to buy it, including the judge that sentenced her dad to prison.
Yeah.
So Dave goes and sells it, and now he's rich, and that's when he meets Florence.
Yeah.
And so he's got Florence and the machine.
Oh, you were waiting the whole time.
I was.
The entire time. One of the things that always strikes me now, especially with this moment that we're in right now with the first trillionaire and all this eat the riches, well, I don't think the bankers are much better than the crooks. They're just different kind of crooks,
I would agree.
And, but that's not how they saw it back in 1925. So,
no.
It was, it's funny that she thinks that these are the heroes, the bankers.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are the same people who are building the infrastructure that our billionaires now stand on the shoulders of. So little does she know.
Same people who are not going to rescue anybody in the crash of 29. They're going to pretend to, and then they're not going to do it. So, yeah.
So maybe
nice
Chunky
guys.
had the right idea. He should have just given it to the thieves. And you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with that.
Yeah.
There's no real tension in the movie. I didn't think, like, it's basically now, we're going to basically find out by the end, does he go with Florence or does he go with Molly?
Mm-hmm.
And Chunky's basically like Ducky from Pretty in Pink, is he going to get Andy? But yeah, dude was totally giving me he's less stylish than Ducky by far.
But at the time, he thought he was and tried so hard to be stylish.
True.
That was his only way. And I do like his coat. I like the way it's cut. So I will say that. But
okay.
But he kind of was just like, he actually did. Like I said, it's a make the best of it ending, and
yeah.
And Molly's like, you know what? Yeah, he's always been there for me. It's cool. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, it's like at the end of Some Like It Hot. It's like, but I'm a man. Well, nobody's perfect. Like, okay, are they a couple now? Like, I want to know. Like, because Jack Lemmon doesn't look like he's like, oh, there you go. We're making the best of this boat ride back. And I hope those two had a wonderful time together. Now, I have said this on a previous episode, but at this point in my life, I have gotten to a place where stories about young love just don't really connect with me anymore. They just don't. I'm not going to sit here and go into the whys and hows. I guess you could say I've lost some of my romantic streak or my romantic side in my dotage, but it doesn't mean I still can't appreciate it. It's just, I didn't really feel for any of these characters in that. Like, I didn't really care who ended up with who.
Yeah.
Obviously, if it were me, I were Chunky, because I'm obviously not Dave, I like to think I'm a little more interesting than that. But, I'm not quite Chunky either. Like, I'm not that kind of although, I love dogs, and he gets a funny moment with a dog. I mean, honestly, if I had my way, this movie would have ended with Molly going off with the dog in her own car and just... But you know what? She does go off with the dog, but she has Chunky with her. So fine. They go out west to make their best of it, as you said, and that's fine. I didn't mind that ending. In fact, I feel like it's probably the most realistic ending, and because Molly's way, way cooler than either of those other two. I don't care how rich they are. Her and Chunky are going to have way more fun. Even if they never, ever, ever consummate, they're still going to have more fun. But I would say that if there was anything this movie lacked for me was any kind of dramatic tension, because I just could not relate to the characters and their quote unquote plight. However, like I said, going back a second time, noticing a bit more of the class structure side of it, that's not as much of a thing as it used to be, but back then it was probably even more exacerbated. And I got more out of the movie the second time noticing that stuff, as far as
people didn't rebel against their class quite as much as people do and can now, especially class in America at that time. It was this, to me, this was definitely in a situation where like, oh, this is nurture over nature. Like, her dad was a criminal, but also you're basically saying, your dad was a criminal. He went to jail. He was an influence by his absence, but you still had to grow up in a tenement and all this stuff. And then the rich girl grew up with her privilege and all of that stuff. And it's like, that's not nature. That's nurture. That's basically saying your environment creates you. But the one weird thing that this movie kind of does that's weird to us now is it basically says, so just accept it. Whereas as now it would be, so break out of it, and I think that's kind of the difference,
which I liked, because I would rather, because that's again way more realistic. Nobody changes overnight, and why not just accept? Because it's not like she did anything wrong. Like, I mean, I get it. Okay, sex work is illegal, but I personally have no moral or ethical problems with sex work.
Right.
So I don't really see Molly as a bad person at all.
No. Well, she's not necessarily coded that way, and that's the nice thing. Like, she doesn't get punished or anything. She doesn't get the guy that she wanted, but she's going to go out west and get married. I like to think they either get a nice plot of land and strike oil, or they pan for some gold and actually get some gold, or the things that people out west did to get rich or what have you. But you know, she didn't get killed or any of those things,
No?
because again, the code is not in place yet. Remember, that doesn't come in
Right.
really until
34.
1934 spring, early
Yeah.
spring, right?
Yeah.
So this was part of those films that didn't judge that started pissing people in the, Catholic League of Decency off, so that they wrote the code. Like, I
Yeah.
think that there were probably people who were like, well, why doesn't she get punished? She's obviously terrible,
Yeah,
or
right.
whatever. So, yeah.
While they're secretly going out to those dance halls.
Right. Well, and there were
hiring women like her.
Yeah, and there were notes too that Norma Shearer at the time, this was before she married Thalberg, so she was still single, and that she may have hooked up with or had an affair with the director, and that she tried to hook up with the guy who played Dave, but he was married, so it didn't happen.
No.
So, I mean, the other part of the code wasn't just what happened on screen, but it was what happened off. I mean, it was, these immoral Hollywood people. And even though Norma generally doesn't play villains, she usually plays a good girl. She partied.
Yeah, well, God bless her.
Yep.
I think, as I was alluding to earlier, I think, and this isn't necessarily on the movie, this is just me, but I definitely wouldn't have minded a side plot where her dad gets out and she sees him again. Because they kind of just, but again, the movie does not need it. I'm not saying it does, but just me, I feel like that could have been something special. But this, of course, coming from a screenwriter who is always looking like, oh, I would have added this or I would have added that. So take all that with a grain of salt, folks.
Yeah, I mean, they were careful to make it 18 years later, not 20 years later, because her dad got 20 years for whatever he did.
Right.
Did we even find out what he did?
It was, all I could read in one plot description, what it was thievery.
Yeah.
So,
like, poor guy
know.
probably stole a loaf of bread or something basic, because it's 25. And, those were, that did happen. And he gets 20 years. I do love that he got a chance to confront the judge, basically, when he gets hauled out to go to jail. And he's like, yeah, what about my daughter? Although most of the judiciary would say, maybe you should have thought of her before you stole the bread. But then, of course, the answer to that is, she's why I stole the fucking bread. you know?
But you're trying to explain something like that to conservative-minded people who will never understand that concept.
No, there comes a point where it's just like, okay, like, it may weigh in somebody's sentence, why they stole the loaf of bread or whatever they stole or whatever. But yeah, like, basic thievery, it was just, you get the book thrown at you at that point in time. There wasn't a whole lot of, I mean, stuff like restorative justice and trying to actually fix things was not happening in 1925. It was lock them up and throw away the key. And it would have been interesting to see what would happen if it would have been 20 years later. But I mean, she never visits her dad. She never really talks about him after that.
And that was another thing is I really had trouble figuring out the time span of this movie. Like, other than, okay, they're born, flash forward 18 years later, and it's like they go out to a dance club, they meet this guy, the next day he's coming over for dinner, the next day he invents a machine, he sells it that afternoon, meets another woman, suddenly they're dating, and to me, it felt like it all took place in like 3 days. And most of
the movies did that.
Even more so, it took away the dramatic urgency of it when I was like, okay, wait, calm down a second. You guys just met.
Yeah.
How can you be that in love with someone? But I get it. That's the economy of storytelling, and nobody watching this movie is caring about that. So that's just me. But overall, though,
it's just a matter of its time. Like, the more old movies you watch, the more you realize that everyone expected to fall in love quickly because that's what everyone in the movies did. And, that unfortunately has probably informed our own ideas of romance far too much. You know?
I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
I think I have some friends that are, I've got to be in love. I've got to find somebody. I've got to be in love. It's like, calm down, work on yourself first.
Yeah. It's always funny to me because like I do get questions about why are you still single? You're not dating anyone. I always have, I have my stockpile of jokes about that, like when I'm having dinner with my family or something, it's like if it's me and a couple's like my brother and his wife and whatever, they're like, okay, us two are together, and the waitress will look at me and I'll just say, yep, forever alone.
Yeah.
Which
Yep.
gets a laugh. I ran into a friend a couple weeks ago who I hadn't seen in probably 20 years. And, he was like, hey, so what's up with you? Are you dating anybody? Whatever. I'm like, no, I'm a solo artist.
Yeah,
Which
there you
is
go.
how I tend to describe it, And, I'm not I mean, I joke about being like anti-romance and stuff like that. I got so much other things in my life, so many other things that I'm interested in and that I want to do.
Yeah.
And, if someone came to me tomorrow and said, you can have the greatest love of your life or you can publish a bestseller, I would pick the bestseller.
Bestseller right here.
Like that's just more important to me. And,
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm the same way. Like I'm not saying I would say no if something nice
if it
were
comes
to
along
transpire.
and fits in my life,
Yeah.
that would be great.
But it's not a priority for me anymore, like at all.
That's always been true for me. So for a long time, that's been true. I don't say always, but since probably my maybe my mid 30s or so, I've just been like, like there's so many things that I can do. And I mean, if you would have even asked me 5-10 years ago, hey, Diana, you're going to be going to China to teach, once a year in a few years, I would have been like, like
Right.
no way,
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But it's by focusing on
I
those
get it.
other things that those things have happened,
Yeah.
and that's pretty cool. And I don't know, I think the focus on romance is one of the drawbacks of modern society when there's so many ways to have love in your life that aren't necessarily that. Like,
I agree.
I'm very close with my family. I have lots of good friends in lots of places, and we do the work to keep in touch and to hang out and all of that kind of stuff. Like, that's love too,
Yeah.
It just,
I agree.
Yeah, it's just that sort of fantasy of everything has to be romance that I don't really buy into. So
No.
but I did for years. So
Oh, you and me both. I've missed out on great things because of my obsession with that. I know I have. Like, I let that. I mean, come on, we've known each other forever. How many times have you seen me fall for somebody and it ruined my life for no real reason? And then I'm so over and done with that. Where, like I said, I would have just said, hey, I'm grabbing this dog. Chunky, you got a car. I don't think we're going to get married, but let's just go. Because I don't really want to get married either. If I meet someone, I definitely don't want to get married.
Yeah.
I'm fine just being partners forever. Anyway.
Yeah.
Diana, I did like this movie. I was not, I'm not going to say it's one of my favorite silents.
Yeah.
But I definitely give it 3 stars out of 4. Like, okay. I think and mainly because of Norma. Like, I can see why people say that the reason this movie has stayed in the discussion is because of her. And if she wasn't in this would probably be a forgotten little footnote in silent film history.
Well, and we've seen plenty of movies where someone plays a dual role, but this was one of the first. And that was new. Imagine being in the audience for the first time and going and pointing at the two of them like, wait, what? Oh,
Jean-Claude Van Damme has played, I think he's played dual roles as many times as Bette Davis did. And I love it. Every time Van Damme plays another Van Damme, it's just twice the Van Damme and twice the gold. But yeah, you would see it now. Like, was that one Tom Hardy just did where he played both the Cray twins.
Yeah.
And you don't even think about it now.
Yeah, Sinners.
Yeah, Sinners, exactly. You're just like, oh, cool. No, I thought it was a great effect. I couldn't see the seams, if you know what I mean. Like, I looked, too. I'm like, oh, that's really good, because I don't know how they did that, and this movie's, 100 years old now? So...
Oh, yeah, it is.
It is. Wow. Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's the centennial celebration of Lady of the Night. So just to see what other people have thought of this as we close things out, have you ever heard of a little thing called the Photoplay Awards?
I've heard of Photoplay, the magazine.
Yeah, Photoplay.
So.
Yeah, one of the first film fan magazines.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you that don't know, Photoplay was another word for screenplay. And these were like, I don't think they were the pre-Oscars, because it looks like they gave them out every month.
Uh-huh.
But in 1925, this film won for Best Picture at the Photoplay Awards of the month of May, for the month of May. And Norma Shearer won Best Performance of the Month for the month of May for this film. So this does have some awards for it before that was really a thing. Mm-hmm. Photoplay magazine.
And it made money.
It made a lot of money. It was a very profitable film. And as far as our little aggregate reviewer sites, I know you and I are Letterboxd people. Mm-hmm. This sets at a 3.4 out of 5 based on 729 ratings. You gave it a 4.5 star rating, so you have helped, with that consensus there.
Yeah.
IMDb, out of 854 ratings, has it at a 6.7 out of 10, and Rotten Tomatoes, there's no critic review on it, of course, but it sets with the fans or the audience, I should say, it sets at a 71%, so it's certified fresh.
Yeah, it's not that bad for Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a fan. I just give this stuff for context.
Yeah.
I really don't, even though every movie I watch, I go and rate it just to do it. But Letterboxd is my jam. Mm-hmm. In fact, I don't even use IMDb for anything other than finding trivia. But anyway, so thank you so much for coming back on the show. We're going to get you back again.
It was fun.
And definitely get you back for Halloween.
Yeah.
Because I know that's one of your favorite holidays. You've made Halloween mixes for me before.
I have.
To play at parties.
Yeah.
So you have to be a part of my Halloween celebration.
Fantastic. Thank you.
As we're closing, I almost said as we're logging out. Jeez, I got to get out of this sweatshop.
You do.
I would like you to remind everybody about what you do in the great work you're doing in our community.
Yeah. So the org that I volunteer with, as an educator and as a board member is called Migrant Legal Aid. The website is migrantlegalaid.org. And on the website, you can get involved with us by volunteering. We got internships. We got an Amazon wish list. You can donate. You can co-counsel with us if you're a lawyer. We also have events every year. We have a golf outing in the summer called Cup of Justice, and we have a event that's usually like a luncheon in the fall called Harvest of Justice, where we talk about the work that we do and what we've done. This is not just about ICE education, although that's a big one. But we've won, for example, last year, pretty close to this time, we won a massive human trafficking case on behalf of some trafficked workers. And that was a pretty big deal. And when I say we, I mean our attorneys who work for us. I volunteer, which means I'm fundraising and I'm educating. Those are my main two things. But our lawyers are out there and they're on the ground, they're bilingual, they're fighting, they're doing what they can, because without our migrant workers and our migrant farm workers especially, you wouldn't have food. The end.
Amen.
That's about as basic as it gets. A lot of people, your food doesn't just magically appear at the store. Someone's out in the field, even on super hot days like today, picking them.
Oh, yeah.
And those are the jobs that nobody wants to do. So we have to protect those people because they're human beings just like everybody else.
Absolutely.
So that's my big deal. Yeah.
Yep, I applaud the work you're doing. Again,
Thanks.
and as I've said before, I admire the hell out of you for just everything you've done with your life and what you continue to do with your life. I look up to you. I'm
No.
honored that you're my friend, and I'm just glad you're also really into movies so that I can sometimes talk to you about stuff I understand.
Yeah.
Because that's all I know, because that's all I went to school for, and that's all I've done with my life. Next time, take me to China. I'll be your cameraman. Just let me
It
film
would be
what you're doing.
amazing. It would be amazing.
I'll edit videos for you. I would just love to go. But yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you too.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for listening. Now, I'm a big believer in supporting the podcast community. Well, some of you anyway. So, hey, if you like movies and you like listening to people talk about them, then these are some shows I think you might dig. If you want silly, irreverent discussions about strange cinema from all over the place, check out the Dog Zone 9000, hosted by former Cracked writers Sean Baby and Robert Brockway. And if you do, tell them they need to bring me on their show. We've also got Watch Skip Plus, which is also available on YouTube, Night of the Living Podcast, The Gentleman's Guide to Midnight Cinema, and my personal favorite, the Not a Bomb Podcast with Troy and Brad. Saved my life, kinda. If you love all things Star Wars, then definitely listen to Blast Points. And if you love all things Sam Raimi, then check out my friend Christy Jett and her friend Anna on the Raimi Cast. Back over on YouTube, you can check out the Two Johns and their show, and now for something a little bit different. Of course, I also co-host the Unidentified Flying Podcast with my BFF, Rick Reed. Aboard the Lexa Proteus 4, as we journey through the science fiction films of the 1950s, year by year, movie by movie. And, well, last but not least...
If you enjoyed this program, you should totally follow it online.
Oh, yeah.
Now you're talking.
So where are you?
Go to Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Letterboxd, and YouTube.
Cool.
And search for Cinema Milkshake.
Do it. We'll give it a whirl. Why not?
And
Like, follow, share, and leave feedback.
You tell the world.
You certainly don't have to, but it would be a whole lot cooler if you did.
Believe that shit.
Word. Oh, that's good.
Until next time, don't let the bastards grind you down.
Listen, don't get prancy with me, kiddo.
Keep watching movies.
Dude, that movie was fucking sweet! Ain't bet your fucking ass it was!
And, most importantly, dear listeners,
What's up?
enjoy every milkshake.
I feel like something incredible is really gonna happen here.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
I'm disgusted and repulsed, and I can't look away.
what is this? Some kind of a joke?
Some sort, yes.
Bravo!
You're mocking me, aren't you?
How dare you?
Do you know anything about the art of film production?
Well, I like to think so.
Direction, the acting, the storyline. That shit was bad.
Wow.
That was fucking trippy.
Yeah, boy.
What did you think?
I can't talk about it anymore. It's giving me a headache.
Why don't you knock it off with them negative waves?
That's part of your problem, you know. You haven't seen enough movies. All of life's riddles are answered in the movies.
I had enough. I give up. I want to go home.
What was that? A strumpet, sir. A what? A harlot, a trollop, a lady of the evening. Go to sleep,